What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel. Today on the Hard Count, Auburn has announced TJ Finley as their starting quarterback. What does this mean for the Tigers? Welcome into the Hard Count, the people's show for every single thing that you know and that you love about college football. It happens here on a daily basis. Nick Brake doing the heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. Auburn has knocked over another domino in the QB1 reveal season as TJ Finley is announced to be the guy for them in game one against Mercer. There's a lot of facets to unpack here. He beat out Texas A&M transfer Zach Calzada, the Alabama Slayer, beat out Robby Ashford, the Oregon transfer, who is going to play at some point this season in different packages. We'll get to that in a minute. But the reason as to why TJ Finley was announced to be the starter, it comes down to the intangibles. Justin Hokanson over at Auburn Live, our On3 site, has a great article, also has a great video out, so go check that out. But basically, he said what it came down to for Bryan Harsin was that he feels like TJ Finley is the most reliable and gets them in the best position for success, even when it comes to pre-snap. Talks about, hey, he gets us in the right play. He gets everybody lined up assignment-wise. He just gets everything on track for Auburn for this offense to be successful before they even call their first snap. Now, talking about statistics in fall camp, it sounds like Zach Calzada and TJ Finley were really pretty close when it came to statistics. So ultimately, it was the operation and the management and the command of the offense that got TJ Finley this job. Bryan Harsin during fall camp said at times that TJ Finley was kind of like a coach on the field. Like even if a drill was sort of messed up, an individual drill, he noticed that. It was the attention to detail stuff. And I can tell you, being in a locker room, if your quarterback isn't the guy, if he isn't the guy that has command of not just the program, but the offense, you have a tough time even getting started. Having the quarterback have so much command is ultimately what's going to be crucial for Auburn come game one against Mercer. Now, Zach Calzada was, for a lot of people, presumed to have a leg up when he got to Auburn. Anytime you get a quarterback transferring into your program, the assumption is, okay, they brought him here for a reason, right? And so Zach Calzada, it sounds like, had a poor scrimmage in scrimmage one and then was just kind of behind the eight ball going forward. Didn't really have a spring with that shoulder injury, but having that tough practice in scrimmage one and then scrimmage 2 and 3 were more situational, he never really was able to get back into the race. Now, Robby Ashford, the Oregon transfer, he had a much less desirable statistical performance in fall camp, much lower completion percentage. Doesn't sound like he threw as many touchdowns, but he's going to play because he's such a good athlete. So when it comes to third down, when it comes to short yardage, look for him to be involved in those quarterback design runs, that read option game. He's going to be a guy that you see this coming year for Auburn. I would venture to say even as far as game one. Now for Zach Calzada, when do you see him? It's a big old question mark. Do they mix him in? Do they give him a drive here or there because of some positive things that he shows during the week in practice? Does he sort of restore some faith from this staff into him? I don't know. Very much remains to be seen. But you got two contests in Mercer and San Jose State where you can kind of get your stuff together as an offense. No knock to those programs, but Auburn, just by rolling the ball out there and playing, should be in good position to win those games. So you got to make sure you have everything set up for success by the time that you play Penn State. When Penn State comes to town, you better be ready to roll. Justin Hokanson also made this very clear when talking about the quarterback race. He said, TJ Finley, he's won the battle, but the war for the quarterback one spot rages on. Because if you remember correctly, TJ Finley in his only 3 starts last year was 0-3 with 54% completion percentage. It is really hard to win when your quarterback is completing 54% of his passes. It's tough to run your offense. Now, what I think we need to make sure we talk about is the way this offense is going to be run this coming season as opposed to what it was last year. Look at some of those games where TJ Finley struggled. He was throwing 32 attempts against South Carolina, 37 attempts against Houston. That's a lot of pressure on your quarterback. That's a lot of pressure on a guy in TJ Finley in his first couple of starts to make something happen. That doesn't sound like it's going to be the case in 2022. Eric Keesaw, the offensive coordinator, has made it very clear we are going to spoon feed our best player, Tank Bigsby. He's going to be the focal point of the offense. We will hand him the football early and often. So I'd expect that attempts number to be a good bit less TJ Finley's best game actually was in the Iron Bowl against Alabama, went 17 for 26. I think if you can take some things off of his plate, which it sounds like they will, and allow him to manage the game as opposed to go and win the game, think you could be set up for success. But going back to this conversation about the battle versus the war, they're still going to let Robby Ashford have a chance to do some good things. And if he does good things, the best way to get more food on your plate is to do well with the little serving size you get. So we'll see what happens there. But TJ Finley, the guy for game one, we'll see what happens as the season wears on. So for Bryan Harsin, for his quarterback and TJ Finley, I've said it before, they're going to ask him to be an airplane pilot. Get us off the ground, get us going the right direction, get us a smooth landing. We don't need you to go Top Gun Maverick. We don't need you to be Goose. We don't need you to do anything crazy for us and win the game. We just need you to manage the game effectively. Now, that's all well and good until it's 3rd and 17, and hey, we got 4 verts called to beat whoever it is that's across from us. We need you to make a play. At that point in time, it's probably a different conversation, but ultimately TJ Finley winning this job because of what he brings to the table from an operations standpoint, leadership standpoint, and just overall command of the offense, and it sounds like the respect that he has within that locker room. TJ Finley is QB1 for Auburn. That's it for us here on The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. It is football time. We want you along for the ride. So we're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.